I'm at the Scout Innovation Center in Novi, Michigan, where this reborn automaker does its research and development work. And a lot of people are super excited about the upcoming Traveler SUV and Terra pickup truck, but I've got a lot of questions about these vehicles. What sort of capability can consumers expect? When are they going to go on sale? And of course, how similar will the production models look to the concepts that they've already shown? Let's go see if we can get some answers. For help finding your next ride, check out the GreenCars Buyer's Guide. This easy-to-use tool lets you quickly compare a range of efficient vehicles to find the model that's right for you. To learn more, head on over to greencars.com. The future of driving starts here. After a 4-decade hiatus, the storied Scout brand was revived in 2022. Originally a division of heavy vehicle and equipment manufacturer International Harvester, this reimagined company is now backed by the financial and technological might of the Volkswagen Group. Many American drivers have probably forgotten about Scout, but a zealous band of enthusiasts has kept the flame burning. Hoping to engage this fandom, the upcoming Traveler SUV and Terra pickup truck promise loads of modern technology wrapped in heritage-inspired design, all with the off-road capability existing owners expect, and few rivals will likely be able to top. Despite the established name, though, it's still very early days for Scout, which is basically a startup company. Now, vehicles aren't expected to hit the road until probably 2028, so many aspects of the Traveler and Terra remain shrouded in secrecy. Today, I'm talking to Ryan Decker, the Vice President of Strategy and Brand, to fill in some of those details. After that, for an outsider's perspective, expert analyst Sam Abuelsamid shares his thoughts on these unique vehicles and what it will take for Scout to succeed. But before jumping into the deep end with all of that, let's take an up-close look at these vehicles. And let's start on the outside, which of course is the very first thing you see with any vehicle. And I've got to say, these new Scout models are extremely attractive. But to tell us more, this is Chris Benjamin. He's the Chief Design Officer here at Scout Motors, and I haven't seen you in a while.
It has been a while, Craig.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, awesome. So give us a quick walk around. Fill us in on the design of these models.
Yeah, sure thing. So let me start by saying we based our design theme, or what we were thinking, on two things, right? First, thinking about the rich heritage that Scout had, and then looking at everything else on the road today. You've got, a lot of spaceships. You've got things with like strange lines, extra things, no reason for them.
Very busy.
And so
design.
very busy. And so we wanted to capture the essence of what the original Scouts stood for, and then create something that still felt modern. So it's sort of blending the heritage with the modernity. So heritage and ingenuity, that mix, and creating something that can stand on its own. So I always start with the proportion, because that was one of the big things that made a Scout feel the way it did. So first of all, super short front overhang. It's only 800 millimeters, so it's very short. And then all of the visual weight, so the DLO, the upper, sort of shifted back on the wheels. So if you look at the wheels in comparison to the body, it feels like everything's been shifted rearward.
Sort of a cat ready to pounce almost.
Yeah, in a way. And the big thing is creating a clear, clean design statement. So after you notice the proportion, you then look at the graphics. So you've got this very typical kick up on the DLO, the daylight opening, and that comes from the Scout 2. So if you look at the Scout 2, it's not identically that line, but it's the flavor of that line.
You're getting a taste of it.
And then after you look at the graphics inside of you then go into the form language. And so it's very clear. You have this super strong shoulder that runs all the way through the vehicle.
It's very rounded as well, right? That's not something you tend to see on modern vehicles, that softness to it.
Everyone wants to do something that's hard and aggressive, and et cetera. We did the opposite, because Scouts had this kind of full shoulder, this softness to them. And this is one of the things that makes it feel like a Scout, If you look at the side, there's only one single line here on the lower. And that's meant to, we have this kick under after that, underneath the line. And basically that creates this nice slimness. It creates an athleticism. And that line also lines up to the body color at the rear and at the front of the vehicle. So in your mind, it helps you to organize the shapes in a nice, clean way.
How do you know to put the pencil down? You mentioned design busyness a minute ago, and I think that's always the temptation to keep adding more creases, more character lines, more trim. How do you know when to stop and just sort of step back and say, whoa, we're done here?
I mean, I think you always ask yourself, if we removed this, would it have any less impact, right? And that's the biggest thing. First of all, it never started out complicated. Even the first sketch that I did, it was very simple, very clean. And there was not really a temptation to add extra things, extra elements, and too much fussiness. But what we wanted to do to sort of contrast the cleanliness, the softness in the body, the simplicity, was to create a bold statement in the graphics. So on the front end, you've got what I call the black mask. You have that on the front and on the rear. And the mask is only interrupted by the lighting, so you get this clean DRL, this horizontality that comes from the DRL, and that moves all the way around the vehicle. So you have it in the front, you have it in the rear, and it almost is like an equator line that plants the vehicle and makes it feel like it's
ties it all together.
Yeah, it's got the proportion all coming together. And then one of the cool things that we did with the Scout logo, of course, the Internationals had International off to the side, but also as artists, this is our artwork, and so the Scout logo off to the side is almost like you're signing your piece of art.
Yeah.
And so
is this a font I can download in like Photoshop? Or,
no.
or Microsoft Word?
No, this is actually very, very heavily based on the original Scout logo. We cleaned it up and tweaked a few things to make it feel organized and simplified, lining up all of the letters and making sure that it felt, like one solid piece.
You guys might be the only other automaker aside from Ford that has sort of a cursive
That's true.
word mark for the brand.
Well, look at typical SUV and pickup brands. You see a lot of, especially in the fonts, and you see a lot of domination, hard, conquer. And if you would take, we did this fun exercise. The brand team actually did. You take vehicle logos or brand logos and you put them next to like heavy metal bands. You can't really tell the difference. You don't know what's a band, what's a vehicle. So it's a pretty fun thing. The script definitely does stand out.
It does.
And it does make a statement.
Yeah.
If we step around to the rear of the vehicle, there's something that we did back here that's super cool. As I mentioned, in the front we have that front mask. We have a rear mask in the back, so you get this black graphic that wraps around. And then even with the spare tire on the rear, that mask sort of covers the tire as well. So that graphic is very, very strong, very visible, no matter which side of the vehicle you're on.
Again, tying both ends together, right?
And then one of the other things that we did, thinking about the lighting, I mentioned the DRL that moves horizontally through the vehicle. But we also have this ghost lighting that sort of sneaks out from behind the mask, both in the front and the rear. And it creates this cool second, third read feel to the lighting that, especially when you see it at night, it just gives you a very strong impression.
Yeah. Does Scout have a design language? And if so, what is the name of it and what are some of the hallmarks of that?
No design language by name, nothing like that. The thing for me that was important was having technology there, making a statement with it, so it had that modernity, but not overdoing it so it didn't feel like a spaceship, right? And you'll see that, like if I open the door and you look inside, the first thing that you see is the very clean and clear horizontality in the instrument panel. The Scout 2 actually had this very heavy brow that moved horizontally across the IP, one clean line. And so when you look in there, you only see those two lines, the upper and the lower bar below that. And then you have the technology, the two screens sandwiched in between. So it has a very clean and clear design theme. And then on that lower horizontal line, we have the HVAC switches. So we have these real heavy-duty tactile switches in there.
Actual buttons, knobs, and switches.
Yeah,
I'm sure there is some redundancy with the touch screen as well, but...
Very easy to control it. You don't have to think about it. When you're driving, you want muscle memory to sort of take over. If you want to adjust your temperature, you don't want to have to go through menus and go back and scroll down and to adjust your fan speed.
No.
Also, if you look at the steering wheel, we have super heavy-duty switches on the steering wheel. So that's the thing you're touching the most in the interior. You will see it, you will feel it, and it really does have a heavy dutiness to it that really comes alive.
And that's interesting. You say heavy duty. These vehicles are gigantic. I did not expect, looking at the photos, for them to have such presence.
Yep.
But the truck, for instance, that's the size of an F-150.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
You don't get that from the photos or the video that you do see online. So heavy duty. That's very interesting. You said that.
I mean, because it's almost like the form language is almost like wearing a tailored suit. Actually, if we step over to the Terra,
Yeah. Let's swing over.
So the first thing you'll look at, you made reference to an F-150. If you
Or
look
any
at
full-size truck,
if you look at full-size trucks, we are like on the body, we are pretty much the same width here. The thing that we do different is we have this nice generous shoulder, and so with all of those, you have the glass out here, and that's why you get this sort of slab-sided feel. We wanted to make sure that we had this beautiful shoulder running through, even on the Terra, and we've got this one set up in a very cool way. We've got very large 37-inch tires on
This thing's built for some serious stuff off-road.
It is. And we've sort of used the Terra as an accessory showcase. So 37-inch tires, we have the side step on the side. On the top, we've got a very cool roof rack with lights in the front, chase lights in the rear. So just looking at the art of the possible in terms of accessories, even going so far as to create this go box with a full set of tools.
Nice.
So if you were overlanding, you wanted to pitch a tent, whatever you wanted to do, we've got the tools for you. We have a long handle, a short handle. We have a lantern in here that we created.
Are these Scout branded? Of course
these
they
are all
that.
designed and built by our team. So the lantern even lights
Look
up.
at that. Is this something you're going to offer then, all of these accessories, or is this just for the concept model?
It's just for the concept model for now. Of course, this allows us to get real-time market feedback, understand what people want to have in their vehicles, and it also in a way helps us guide and push the internal teams, because if we create these ideas and we see a lot of positive interest from it, then we can institute that into the production vehicles.
Absolutely.
What you'll see if you look inside the Terra is a different setup.
Seat.
So we have the bench seat, and the bench seat will be available in both vehicles. We just show it two different ways.
That is refreshingly different in 2026. You basically don't see bench seats aside from like commercial grade trucks.
Yeah, you do not. And that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to make sure that the bench seat felt like an occasion. It wasn't something that was just in a work truck or something cheap and dirty that no one wants to get in, but rather it's something that's celebrated. We think about community and how you are with your friends and your loved ones. You want to bring them with you. If you love dogs, your dog's
they're gonna love that
favorite spot
Yeah.
will be on the bench seat. And what we also did with the colors and materials in here, which is different than the Traveler. So in the Traveler, that was the brick and denim interior, which is super cool because the warmth of the brick, it's almost like cowboy boots, and then you've got the denim, so it's like Levi's and cowboy boots. Nothing's more American than that. But then when you look at this, you get this very ranch-inspired feel with the hemp wood that runs through the doors across the instrument panel.
I was just going to ask you what that material was, because that is quite unique.
It's hemp wood, so hemp is a super fast-growing crop, and the way it's actually constituted here, it's scraps or chunks that are then glued into a form with a plant-based resin, and then it's milled to the shape that we created.
From a distance, it almost looks like a very intricate burl wood.
Yeah.
But you get up close, you can definitely see some of the layers to it.
Yep. And then in here, you can even see the UX running on the screen. We call it the community UX. So it's a very easy system to use, and it allows you to have both your driver, your middle passenger, and the right side passenger all able to access the screen. And we even did something cool inspired by a chronograph. The volume knob on the side of the screen there.
Oh, yeah.
You never see that. We figure the driver's volume knob is on the steering wheel. You want your hands on the wheel while you're driving.
Yeah.
and then the other volume knob is for everyone else.
Yeah,
so
much more accessible for the front seat passenger.
Absolutely. The other thing, just one thing to mention, is plaid was one of the things that was synonymous with Scout. And so inside the vehicle, it's easy to do. You see it on the Traveler and the headliner. We have plaid, it's black on black, so it's hard to notice. But we think about it in a way of like reimagining heritage. And so in here, when you look at the plaid on the seats, it's actually the perf pattern. That
you can see that
creates the plaid pattern. So it isn't done in a super obvious way, but it's done in a fun way.
Yeah.
That gives you something interesting to talk about. Plaid on the inside is easier to do. What's harder to do is plaid on the outside.
I would imagine so. They don't make a plaid paint you can roll on or spray on.
Correct, but we did find a way to incorporate plaid into the exterior of the vehicle. We call it Earth's plaid. I'm on a plane a lot, and so when you are flying, you look down at crops. To me, they look like plaid. And because they're created by the Earth, so we call it Earth's plaid. So the Harvester logo actually has Earth's plaid as the logo, and we even have a combine here.
Look at that.
That's removing one row of crops. So
designer's touch right there.
And thinking about our agricultural roots, right?
Yeah.
And incorporating that into the Harvester logos, fun thing to do.
Love it. So how close are these vehicles? These are still concepts here, but how close are they to the real thing customers are going to be able to drive?
Visually, I'd say about 90%.
90%, nice.
So if you would stand back and look at the vehicles 50 feet away, you wouldn't be able to see the differences easily.
Yeah. Can you give a couple examples of what might change between this and the production model?
You, for example, can't stamp this easily, right? Mm-hmm. And so, for example, in production, what we've done is we have a cool black piece that goes around the light, so you get a simple opening in the sheet metal, and then the light sort of fitted into this black technical piece. Mm-hmm. So it really does keep the same theme. It satisfies the feasibility part of it.
Yeah, because you've got to be able to build the vehicle and build it at a cost people can afford.
Exactly.
So that's always the challenge between the design and engineering halves of the house. They're always butting heads, but hopefully you come together.
No, we definitely butt heads in the best way. If there's no tension, then you're not creating something special.
Yeah. Last question then.
Yeah.
What is your favorite design element of these vehicles, and what was the biggest challenge in bringing these out?
Tough one. I'd say the front end is probably my favorite part, because when you look at the face of a vehicle, it's where you see the personality. It's just like when you talk to someone and you look at them, it's where you see their personality shining through. And the cool thing we did was, before we showed the vehicles, everyone said, "Oh, it's got to have round lights on it," and we in fact did not put round lights on it. No, they're not. Because we wanted to make sure that we created something that felt like the Scout, but wasn't an exact copy, it wasn't retro. And there are other brands that do the round lights. Back in the 60s and 70s, the round sealed beam headlights.
Yeah. Regulatory reasons, everybody had them.
Exactly,
right?
everyone. And so for me, that disqualifies it as a design element that we should take inspiration from, so we didn't.
Well, beautiful work, Chris, and thanks again for the tour.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks for coming in.
Of course, design is critically important, but it takes a lot more than just handsome looks to sell vehicles. Scout also has to carve out its own niche in a crowded market while offering competitive specs and appealing features. And even the most enthusiastic of hand raisers are probably wondering how the brand plans to pull all of this off. So, Ryan Decker, you are the VP of Strategy and Brand here at Scout. Sounds like a pretty important title.
A pretty cool job, more importantly than importance, I would say.
And I hear you're actually employee number 2 at Scout. What's the story there?
That's right. We started with some PowerPoint slides and a dream. We knew we had something special with the Scout brand. We had an idea for how we wanted to revitalize it, and I was lucky enough to get in early and see it all the way through.
Awesome. Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, some brand specifics. So the biggest question I have is, why bring Scout back? And where does it fit in the broader Volkswagen group?
On the first part of the question, I think it's very rare to find brands and products that people have made a living keeping alive, keeping around for over 4 decades. You can probably name a few of them. There's probably only 3 or 4, and Scout is one of them. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason that is because of what it meant to people from 1960 to 1980. And you can make the case it really was the OG SUV. But beyond the body style, I think it's what it represented. And back then it represented optimism, it represented togetherness, it represented exploration. So those are all really, really cool things that in my opinion have a role to play in the American market still and moving forward. Now in terms of the question of the Volkswagen Group, how does it fit in? The Volkswagen Group doesn't have products that look like these in the American market. And so this is a huge white space opportunity, tons of customers here, tons of volume in these segments, and we want to go get it.
So do most American motorists, do they remember Scout? Or is this going to be an uphill battle to try and sell these?
It's a great question. I would say there's 3 dimensions to it. So there's the sort of OG purists who we know and love and respect.
They're never going to forget the brand, ever.
They're never going to keep the brand. In fact, they're the ones who really have kept the flame burning. So looking for barn finds, keeping spare parts out there. This is a really serious community that knows it.
The real evangelists.
The real evangelists. Then there's a bigger community, a step up, who doesn't own one, didn't necessarily look for spare parts, but they know it. And they know it because they either learned how to drive on one or their grandpa drove them to a fishing hole in one. And we love that nostalgic connection that people have to Scout. And then there's just a third or broader market. And even if they don't know Scout, they think it's cool that it existed. They like that it has a certain amount of authenticity and heritage. So across the board, we think those are all really good places to be starting from.
Yeah, certainly. But there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. And I would not personally want to be trying to introduce a new automotive brand today. Does that give you any concerns going forward as you ramp up production?
Look, I'm obviously going to be biased given that I've seen it from the very beginning. But if you look at what we're doing compared to any other new automotive entrant, we're completely unique. One, show me a new automotive entrant who got into these body styles and these segments at these price points. There hasn't been one. Show me a new automotive entrant who's executed their product like this. And what I mean, body on frame, solid axles, rear door handles, rear switches. There hasn't been one. Show me a new entrant that has started with some existing brand equity and community out there. There hasn't been one. Show me a new entrant who started with a brand new greenfield factory that's highly scalable from the beginning. There hasn't been one. So I think that we're quite unique, and frankly, with all of those proof points, we should have all the confidence in the world. Now we got to go do the work and get it done.
Exactly. That's the hard part.
That's the hard part, but it's also the fun part. It's what gets you up in the morning.
Absolutely. So we've got the Traveler SUV, the Terra pickup truck. These are both body-on-frame vehicles.
That's right.
Why go body-on-frame in a world where almost everything else, at least in the light-duty space, is unibody?
Job one was make a Scout vehicle. Honor what Scout was. And I think one of the first things we realized was you can't be a poser. One, if you're going to use Scout, and two, if you really want to legitimately compete in these segments. And so with that mentality, we looked around and we said, what is the no joke, most legitimate, most credible way to execute a product in this category? It's body on frame. It's big tires, it's solid axles, it's mechanical lockers. It's all of the decisions we took, which we think are what right to compete in the segment, and also what we think is the right to do to, frankly, honor what Scout was.
That's interesting, a heritage tie-in.
The heritage tie-in.
Is it easier to develop a body-on-frame vehicle than something with a unibody structure?
I don't think anything we're doing is easy. Now, it does have certain advantages, right? So one, it has the geometry, where in our case, it allowed us to package an EREV as almost modular as you could. Now, our factory colleagues would say, hey, it's not that modular. But in terms of if you think about how to package an engine in a car, doing it the way we're doing it within the body on frame is way easier than if everything was super integrated as part of a unibody type of approach. That was one big advantage. The other thing it allows us to do is it allows us to do both of these products basically on the same platform, just made a little bit longer. And so that for us was a big differentiator. Credibility, the ability to do two products, and the ability to have a lot of package flexibility when it came to things like EREV.
Yeah. The range extender, which is going to be optional because you're launching these vehicles as a pure electric, but also with a gasoline engine so you can fill the tank and go many more miles without having to charge. You're putting the engine, though, at the rear. Why is that? That seems like an unusual spot for it.
Well, to your point, right, the only way you can really execute these vehicles to be all electric or with the range extender was to do it like we did it. Right? And recognizing these vehicles are going to be on the road until, frankly, the end of the 2030s, we felt like having that adaptability in the platform was the absolute right choice. And if you think about it, if you don't put the engine in the rear, what are you doing? You're running exhaust pipes. It just gets a lot more difficult to package. So having that flexibility to add the engine or not, depending on what the market tells us, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But regardless of the adaptability, if you look at these products, a couple things you'll notice: super short front overhang. So one of the reasons people really love these products when they see them is because they have those really iconic
they look great.
SUV proportions and truck proportions. So super short front overhang and also big tires. And if you think about the tire envelopes there, right? And while still having a front trunk. And if you get to give up all of that to put an engine in the front, we thought that the more elegant solution was to go in the rear.
Let's talk about capability then. What are we going to have, like 1,000 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in like, what, 3.5 seconds? That's serious speed.
It's a serious, compelling package.
Yeah.
And if you think about what we have here, you sort of have the best of what makes an EV or an electric vehicle, in that you always have that incredible torque, the really compelling 0 to 60 times, the really compelling performance, still with things like a front trunk, still with the ability to update things over the air, but with the sort of old world, tried and true, trusted technology, like the gas engine, like the very tactile interior. And that together, I think, is the value proposition of these vehicles, that old world meets new world.
Because you're projecting about 350 miles of range for the pure electric models, right? And then I think up to 500 with the range extender, right? So a customer goes and buys one of those, they can charge it up.
That's right.
At home, ideally with level 2, but you put gas in the tank and you just go. So there's no need to charge it if you're on a road trip, for instance, right?
Exactly, and that's really what people understand. Yeah, for 90% of their day-to-day driving, they're going to be in EV mode, and they love that because you get the performance, you get the cost of ownership, you get the ability to leave your garage fully fueled every morning or fully charged every morning. But in those times, you need the confidence and the long-distance drive. You have it with the gas engine built in.
Yeah. Maximum towing capacity, what is that, 10,000 pounds you guys are targeting?
That's what we announced in October 2024. We have not got into specific offer structure details at this point.
Because I wanted to ask you, is that for the pure electric model, or is that the range extended model, or is it both?
We're still working on technical details like that.
Gotcha. Because I imagine the electric might have a higher tow rating than the EREV variant, but I don't.
No details.
I figured you would have an answer, but he's being evasive, folks. I'm kidding. Are both of these products going to be available at the same time, or is one launching before the other?
What we've announced is the Traveler, the SUV, is going to come first, consistent with the demand we're seeing. Terra will come after that.
Gotcha. And what is the breakdown? Because people can reserve one of these for what, a fully refundable $100 deposit. But what's the breakdown between the two? And then do you have a breakdown between range extended and pure electric?
The $100, of course, is reserving yourself a place in line.
Yeah.
The breakdown between the SUV and the truck is roughly 75-25%, consistent with what we thought it would be.
Okay.
Now, the demand for the range extender is also quite strong. We're seeing basically 85% demand for the range extender. And no surprise, it's all of the things we just said. It gives you the best of an EV, but it gives you the confidence of 500 miles and the ability to fuel with gasoline. So that's the game changer for people.
Yeah, are you guys at all concerned now that like the EV tax credits have gone away? Was that a major factor in your product planning leading up to this point?
Our business was always, we want to make a really compelling product at a really good price, and regardless of what incentives may or may not be available. So that was never a part of our plan. We wanted to deliver upon an offer structure and a starting price point that was very much in the core of the market, and we're still holding the line on that with starting pricing below $60,000.
That was the segue right to my next question. The base price roughly 60 grand. What is the expected range? If it's starting at, let's say, 60, if somebody starts going crazy with the options and checking every box, what's the ceiling for these vehicles? Any idea?
We have not announced offer structure details like that, but as you're getting at, right, these are segments that people do like to add content and equipment. Now, in this case, of course, that equipment is serious off-road equipment. We will find some inspiration from competitors out there, but we have not announced any details yet at this time.
How will people buy a new Scout? There's not going to be a traditional dealership, right?
That's right. So look, when we started to build Scout, everything was, let's look at this from a clean sheet, from soup to nuts. So for us, that meant clean sheet platform. This is the all-new ground-up, new body-on-frame platform. That meant all new factory to, of course, build products on that all-new platform. For us, that meant all new company as well. And as part of that clean sheet, we said, okay, how do we deliver upon the best possible customer experience? How do we compete for our customers? And for us, that meant owning that relationship directly and going direct to consumer. So customers will purchase their vehicles directly from Scout Motors.
So go to the Scout website, configure it however you want,
and
put a deposit down, and go from there.
We know what they're looking for. We're looking for fast, for speed. We're looking for trust. We're looking for transparency. We're looking for a highly digital approach. And that's exactly what we'll deliver.
Sounds very good. Really modernize the car buying process there. I know, of course, other automakers have done that, but it's nice to see that online approach for it. You also mentioned a brand new factory. You've got manufacturing facility, brand new, Blythewood, South Carolina. Your headquarters is in North Carolina, in Charlotte, right? You've got all the Carolinas covered then. What made you choose that area, and why build a new factory rather than finding another one that might have been available?
So starting on why South Carolina, I think the reality is when you're looking for a location that can handle the scale and ambition that Scout Motors had, you go from a very long list of sites to all of a sudden a very short list, right? Does it have relatively flat land that's over 1,000 acres? Does it have all the infrastructure and utilities does it need? Does it have access to people and a workforce that can ultimately work in that factory? And for us, that long list all of a sudden became a very short list, where South Carolina did have all of those things. Very strong technical colleges in the region, very strong community colleges, very strong undergraduate engineering universities, and a very motivated, business-friendly state environment that led us to that location for the factory. So check, check, and check, very strong on those fronts.
An easy choice, perhaps.
On the headquarters location, of course, we wanted to be as near as possible to the factory site, to have truly one company, we can all get together, clear center of gravity. And I think the reality is when you're looking for a headquarters, there's certain requirements on that front too. Population, major airports, the ability to get all of the different corporate functions. And for us, Charlotte was a very clear choice. Being only about an hour and a half up the road, still in the neighborhood, still allows us to have that Carolina center of gravity that we wanted.
Gotcha, gotcha. How many reservations do you have, and what's your annual production capacity out of Blythewood?
We just announced over 160,000, obviously a little earlier, you were here, so quite happy with that interest. I would say more important than the number of reservations is the context behind them. We're very happy to see this 50-state appeal, and we're very happy to see this sort of cross-powertrain appeal. What I mean by that is we know that this package is appealing to people who are driving an EV today, to people who are driving a combustion engine today, and the people who are driving a hybrid engine today, or hybrid powertrain today. So we love that we're able to appeal across America and across powertrains. Yeah.
That's fantastic. You've got a little something for everyone.
Yeah, we think the package is quite compelling no matter where you're coming from or what you're driving.
Hey, Ryan Decker, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we've heard what company insiders think, but building cars ain't easy. It never has been, and Scout faces some big challenges as it moves from the concept stage up to series production. So let's now turn to someone who can offer an independent take on this automaker's strategy. Sam Abuelsamid is an analyst, an automotive expert, and an all-around nice guy.
Thanks, Craig. Great to be here with you today. And by the way, my title is Vice President of Market Research at Telemetry.
I wasn't going to remember that.
Okay.
But anyway, Sam, great to see you again. I love what Scout's doing here, but I've got a question for you. I want to pick your brain. Do you think this brand is going to succeed?
That's a
big question, I know.
That's always the most important question when you're trying to start up an automaker, a brand, essentially a new from the ground up automaker. It's going to be tough because Scout is competing in a really tough segment. They're building full-size pickups and SUVs that are electrified and going into a market segment that hasn't really grown as a segment overall in more than a decade. Where we've seen most of the growth is in the compact and mid-size crossovers and pickups, and this segment hasn't grown, which means that for Scout to succeed, they've either got to grow that full-size segment or they're going to have to take market share away from Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, and even Toyota.
And they're not going to give that up.
No,
without claw marks on it.
That's going to be really tough to get that market share away. I mean, look at how long Toyota's been trying to compete with the Tundra, and they still have only a small share of the market compared to the domestics.
Very loyal customers, but to your point, very small.
Yeah,
segment
absolutely.
of the market. I think Scout is very smart in offering a pure electric product and a range extender as well. That really broadens the appeal of these vehicles.
Yeah, when they originally, when we first heard about Scout coming out in about 2022, the plan at that time was that it was going to be a battery electric only. But not long after that, by the time they first showed these concept vehicles, it became clear that they were going to do what they're now calling their harvester system, their extended range EV.
Love the name.
So yeah, basically you've got a battery electric truck, but adds an internal combustion engine, a 4-cylinder Volkswagen engine that is actually mounted in the rear of the vehicle, which is kind of unusual for this type of configuration.
That's what I was just going to bring up. We're standing here at the front of the pickup truck, the Terra, but that's not where the engine goes.
No.
It's actually way at the back. I don't know if we can see it. We probably can't.
Probably not.
But I'm gonna get down on my knees here and take a look.
Yeah, let's see if it's down there. But in most of these trucks, like the upcoming Ram 1500 Rev,
I don't see
the engine is mounted in the under the hood where the engine normally would be, but it's not connected to the wheels. It only drives a generator that provides electricity to to
So this is a series hybrid then, right?
Yeah, series hybrid is probably the most correct configuration.
That engine charges the battery pack, and then that runs the motors that power the vehicle.
Right, and typically, when we think of most hybrids, it's a combination of both the engine and the electric motors driving the wheels. In this case, the engine has no mechanical connection to the wheels. So that will help a lot when you're towing, which is going to be important for these kind of vehicles. Because as we've seen over the last several years with electric pickups, they can tow a lot, they just can't do it for very far.
That's exactly it.
So the EREV will help there. But the other thing is, partly because of where they're putting the engine back here, the tow rating apparently for the EREV is going to be, at least right now, they're saying roughly about half of what the tow rating is for the
all
battery
in, it's
version.
like 10,000 pounds.
Yeah, and right now they're saying 5,000, but they're working on making that better. So they need to really bump that number up, because I think for a full-size truck with only 5,000 pounds of towing capacity, that's gonna be a tough sell.
Because like, what will an F-150 or an equivalent Ram do? Like, I don't know these days. 13,000 pounds, some astronomical
well, the
amount.
F-150 Lightning, full battery electric, is 10,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Some of the Silverado EVs will do 12,500 pounds, and the Ram Rev and EREV will do 12,500 pounds.
Mm-hmm. So you got to be at 5 figures then to be competitive with those
definitely.
products. But you've got the range extender that offers other benefits you don't get from a pure electric truck.
Yeah.
The engineering standpoint, though, why put the engine at the back? That's a really curious spot.
Well, I think one of the interesting things that Scott Keogh talked about this morning, the CEO of Scout, is this makes it easier to package. Because if you put the engine in the front, now you've got to put the fuel tank somewhere. You've got to have the exhaust system for the engine, even though the engine's not running the wheels. It still has to have an exhaust system. You got to route that somewhere.
Yeah.
If
you don't want that at the front.
Yeah. If you mount all that in the back as one module, which I think is an interesting solution from a manufacturing standpoint, you have everything in there. And then it makes it a lot easier to switch back and forth depending on what market demand is between a BEV and an EREV. And you can just mount that module in there for the EREV, take it out for the BEV version.
Yeah.
Much
Very
easier.
Manufacturability, if you will.
Yeah.
Technical term.
Yes, absolutely.
So they're projecting a base price of a little less than $60,000, but that's still a lot of money to a lot of folks out there. What do you think of that price point?
It is a lot of money.
I mean, it's not astronomical, but it's a lot of money for folks.
But when you compare it to most of the other full-size trucks today, if you're getting a four-wheel drive full-size pickup, especially one with some off-road capability, we don't know what that $60,000 version is actually going to be capable of, but presumably, it's going to have at least some four-wheel drive or some off-road capability. So that's not a crazy number. You look at something like a Ford F-150 Tremor, Chevy Silverado Trail Boss, Ram Rebel. They're all in that $60,000 to $70,000 price range now too.
Everything is expensive.
Yeah, they're all really expensive.
All right. Last question for you, Sam. Are you optimistic about Scout? The products look great. The interiors are beautiful. Are they going to make it?
It's hard to say optimistic. I think they're doing a lot of things right. They've got a body-on-frame system. They've got a live rear axle, which for off-road capability will absolutely help their off-road capability. It's got this zonal architecture. It's going to be one of the first vehicles to use the Rivian Volkswagen combined zonal architecture, which will allow them to do full over-the-air software updates across the board. They're doing direct-to-consumer sales, which will be good for people buying the vehicles, because most consumers don't really like dealers. But from a service standpoint, that's going to be a challenge for them. So we'll see.
Yeah. A lot of questions remain, but I'm pretty hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, we've got almost 2 years before these things start to get to customers, and so hopefully over the next 24 months, we'll learn a lot more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate your expertise.
My pleasure as always, Craig.
Inside and out, I think Scout has nailed the design of the Traveler and Terra. These vehicles are beautiful. Plus, they should offer plenty of performance, driving range, and off-road capability. I do, however, question the location of the engine. I find it very unusual that the range extender is way at the back, and I'm not convinced the world needs 2 more high-end electrified vehicles that start at around 60 grand. Still, seeing these products in person and chatting with members of the team has made me excited to drive the Traveler and Terra in the coming years, and you should be intrigued too. If you're looking for an EV with room for the whole family, absolutely check out the Hyundai Ioniq 9. In fact, I just reviewed this 3-row SUV, and you can check that feature out right now by clicking the link right over here.